breaking news this evening, a major development regarding TikTok. Yeah, the company telling employees in a memo today that the social media app's parent company, ByteDance, has signed a series of binding agreements to create a U.S. joint venture that will be majority owned by American investors. TikTok CEO telling employees, quote, TikTok Global's U.S. entities will manage global product interoperability and certain commercial activities, including e-commerce, advertising, and marketing. Joining us now to discuss the impact of this move, the man who's all over this story and has been for months, Bloomberg's Michael Shepard. Shep, what does this mean in terms of the countries involved in the politics behind this? Should we assume Beijing has signed off?
Well, we shouldn't assume anything based on that, because this memo that was circulated to TikTok employees by Xiao Chu, the CEO, there was no mention of China. It did make extensive mention of President Donald Trump's executive order from September 25th, really clearing the way for this deal to go through and giving his blessing, the U.S. imprimatur, on this transaction, and also codifying in a way some of the security guarantees that would be baked in and enforced by one of the investors, and that is Oracle Corp, who, of course, is very close to the president for a lot of other things and is involved in the AI agenda as well.
Is the rest of this investment group the same names that we've been hearing since the president rolled this out?
That's a great question, Joe, because a lot of people have been wondering who will end up as the TikTok owners. And it really is the same trio coming in as new investors, including Oracle, but also Silver Lake Management and the Abu Dhabi investment firm MGX. So it will be pretty much the contours that we had seen. ByteDance, the Chinese owner that currently controls the app, its stake will be diluted down to 19.9%, which would comply with the U.S. law mandating a sale. And then we would also see ByteDance's existing investors, many of them whom are American investors like Jeff Yaz of Susquehanna. They would get a 30% stake. So altogether, you would see ByteDance's control of the company shrink below the legal threshold. And yet the security guarantees are going to be one of the big questions out there. And the other will be, has China signed off on this as well? And we are waiting to see what Beijing will say, and if it has been part of the trade conversation.
That would be a huge development. Did they get the algorithm, by the way? Did they lease the algorithm? They borrow the algorithm?
Well, that is another thing that is in the deal that may not satisfy U.S. lawmakers. The idea was to have the algorithm completely separate, perhaps even recreate it from scratch. Instead, the idea is that it would be a copy leased from ByteDance, but then retrained to some degree or another by Oracle and also walled off in a way. They would create some sort of a security firewall or barrier that would keep ByteDance from ever gaining access to U.S. data or to the algorithm itself out of concerns that there could be some manipulation going on.
It's a pretty complicated deal, which I guess is why we've been talking about it for so long.